Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. So in today's video, we're going to be going over a new bill that was just reintroduced in Congress in 2023 that would actually increase payments for millions of Americans who are receiving Social Security payments. Not only that, but it would also increase access to Social Security benefits as well. We'll be going over what that bill is and the chances of this bill passing. Also, Senator Bill Cassidy just compared Social Security benefits to Silicon Valley Bank. We'll be going over why, and we'll also be allowing him to explain what he thinks the best fix to Social Security is. Now, before we dive into today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Okay, so I'm sure most of you guys by now have heard about Silicon Valley Bank and its failures. This, of course, has led to a lot of panic among Americans and led to some bank runs. Now, I will say that as long as you have your money in a bank that is FDIC insured up to $250,000, you should be fine, so just don't worry about that. As long as you have your money in a bank that is FDIC insured, you're going to be completely okay. But, well, now we actually have Senator Bill Cassidy comparing Social Security to the very bank that just failed in Silicon Valley Bank. Let's take a listen.
Let's back up a little bit.
Sure.
Social Security is the Silicon Valley Bank of retirement systems. It is going broke in 9 years. And when it goes broke, by current law, if you're receiving a check right now from Social, that check goes down by 25%. You lose 1/4 of the income that you would have if we don't do anything. So we've got to step up and make sure that Social Security benefits are there for those who are getting it now and those who are going to be. The approach we're taking, the centerpiece, is to create a fund separate from Social Security, very separate from Social, and to allow an investment strategy which will grow over time and help Social. It'll bridge it to sustainability. It'll make Social stronger, it'll strengthen it, it'll secure it. So the main thing we're talking about in our approach is this investment fund, separate from Social, this investment fund that actually bails Social out. Everything else is just a dial. You can dial this, you can dial that. But the investment fund is that which is critical.
So Senator Bill Cassidy here is basically saying that Social Security benefits, much like Silicon Valley Bank, is well on its way to failure. If we don't act or do anything within the next 9 years, beneficiaries of Social Security could receive a pay cut of up to 25% of what they're receiving. And Cassidy is saying this is also a lot like Silicon Valley Bank, which did not make sure that it had the proper measures in place and ended up failing as a result. Well, he's saying that Social Security could also fail if they don't act now, and then there could be a cut in benefits of 25%. And like Silicon Valley Bank, it would also be considered a failure. Cassidy is then asked about President Biden being very critical of his Republican colleagues' plans to save Social Security and where he believes the negotiations should go from here. Watch.
So President Biden, of course, is offering a very different vision. He just outlined his budget a few days ago. He's been extremely critical of plans put forth by your fellow Republicans in the Senate, one from Florida in particular, about Social Security, about Medicare. Where should those negotiations go? Do you think that Senator Scott's plan is the right one?
Senator Scott's plan is wrong. It is totally separate from our plan. And by the way, our approach, if you will, is bipartisan. And so bipartisan means that Democrats and Republicans are liking the framework, this kind of idea of a fund separate from Social. But if somebody tells you that there's no need to address Social Security, they're either too old or too rich to care. President Biden needs to be honest with the American people. Social is going broke in 9 years, and when it goes broke, there's going to be a 25% cut. And with somebody who's currently receiving Social Security, they will get 25% less. So now, if he wants to pretend that we don't need to do anything, that means he thinks he's going to be out of office when it occurs. We need to step up now to protect the person who's relying upon Social. In order to pay her bills, we need to start planning now.
So, Senator, a long time ago, when I was in Congress, we had to slow down the rate of increase of Medicare because the Medicare trustees said Medicare was going to go bankrupt in 7 years, going to go broke in 7 years. You're talking about 9 years. Are the trustees saying that Social Security runs out of money in 9 years?
Joe, absolutely. And they've been predicting this for 20 years. It's not like it just dawned upon us. It was going to go.
Can I just ask you? Can I ask you that real quickly? Because I must tell you, I've been taught. I could go back to 1994. I've been saying this since 1994, and I've been warning about deficits and warning about debts and warning about inflation coming. And at some point, people look at you as a boy who cried wolf. So if I've been warning about Social Security since 1994 and how we need to get rid, and nothing's happened, what do you say to those people who say, you guys have been saying this for 30 years?
Joe, when you said it was going broke, you didn't mean tomorrow, you meant in 30 years. So for 30 years, 29, 20, 15, 10, we've been warning. And now it's upon us. So we have a choice. Either we pretend there's no problem, like President Biden did during the State of the Union speech, or we say there is a problem. If we address it now, we can address it in a way which eliminates the possibility of a 25% cut in benefits for people who rely upon Social Security. We can also fix it in a way which makes it more fair for those who perhaps it is not quite fair for now. If we wait till the last minute, boom, it's going to be a car wreck. You're going to have to throw things together. It won't be nearly as well thought out. Let's do it now.
So Cassidy is saying here that people who believe that we don't need any changes to Social Security are either too old or too rich to care. Now, I would love to hear your thoughts about that, because the reporter is saying, like, hey, there's a lot of reports by the trustees that Social Security will be insolvent within the next 9 years. He believes this might actually be a scare tactic, and this may actually be wrong, that we might, go down the road another 20 or 30 years and Social Security could be paying out full benefits, that maybe we don't need to make any changes at all. So I am definitely interested in hearing your thoughts in comments below. Do you personally believe that we need to make any changes? Do you think this is just some sort of scare tactic, so then they raise the full retirement age up to 70 for no real reason? Let me know your thoughts in comments down below. Now, personally, I do believe that there is probably going to be an issue with the solvency of Social Security. I mean, it's pretty clear now that we have fewer people paying into the system and more people taking out of it than before. So obviously there is going to be a shortfall and something should be done. Now, I'm not sure what the best plan moving forward is. Again, I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you believe that we should do to save Social Security? Of course, over the last several months, we've heard a lot of different proposals to fix Social Security. For example, we've heard a lot about Bernie Sanders' plan. In his plan, he would raise benefits by $200 per month, or $2,400 per year. Then, of course, over the last couple months, one of the real popular ones that we've really been hearing a lot about is coming from Senator Bill Cassidy that we just talked about. He has a bipartisan plan with Angus King. Now, in his plan, he would raise benefits by a little bit if the sovereign wealth fund ended up working out and ended up having pretty good returns. But if the sovereign wealth fund does not accumulate at least 8% in returns, they would be making it so you would have to pay more into the payroll tax system, where it would be boosted from maybe 6.2 up to 7% for employees. And there would also be the cap lifted on the payroll tax if they're not able to achieve the 8% number that they're looking for in the sovereign wealth fund. Now, one bill that we haven't really heard that much about, though it's not really all that popular, but it was just re-released this year, is actually from Congresswoman Gwen Moore. And this bill is actually called the Social Security Enhancement and Protection Act of 2023. So she's saying right on her website here that one important benefit enhancement that she is especially proud of is the proposal to improve the program's special minimum benefit to better support low-income workers, including by recognizing that providing care for a child is work. So her bill would allow the years in which a parent provides care for a young child to count as a year of coverage for determining an individual's Social Security benefits. So for new moms or new dads out there that end up taking a year or two or perhaps 3 or 4 off to take care of their newborn, who could really blame them? Especially with childcare being so expensive, it's almost, better off just staying home with the child if you can. She's actually going to make this so it counts for a year of work. So by taking those first years off to care for your child, you're not going to be penalized by not going to work and paying into the Social Security payroll tax system. Her bill would also reinstate benefits for students up to age 26 who are children of retired, deceased, or disabled workers. Given the higher lifetime earning rates for workers holding degrees above a high school level, we need to continue to find ways to encourage young adults to pursue higher education and support them. So she wants more people to go to college and graduate degrees, therefore earning more income, therefore paying more into the Social Security payroll tax system, and therefore receiving higher benefits upon retirement. And her proposal would also provide additional security by increasing benefits for all beneficiaries 20 years after retirement, providing economic stability for our eldest seniors. Her legislation would eliminate the cap on Social Security payroll contributions, allowing us to generate substantial additional revenue for the Social Security system while at the same time enhancing benefits for those who need them the most. This bill builds on the promise of Social Security with equity-centered improvements, which will help meet the needs of our citizens. So she wants to increase benefits for beneficiaries 20 years after retirement, so they're going to be receiving more. Of course, as you get older, of course, a lot of costs go up, especially in healthcare, so this could be especially helpful. She doesn't say how much benefits are going to go up by, so that's something that she would need to kind of expand on later on. But she's going to do all this by eliminating the payroll tax cap, which is something that Republicans are probably not going to get on board with. So this is probably not going to be a bipartisan plan. And with Republicans controlling the House of Representatives, they're going to need a good amount of Republican support to get this through the House. Now, Democrats do control the Senate, so it's possible they could get this through the Senate. But again, in the Senate, they would need 60 votes. Right now, there's only 51 Democrats in the Senate. Now, there are a lot of organizations that do endorse the bill. So we have like Social Security Works, for example, National Women's Law Center, National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare. So a lot of organizations believe this is a good plan. But again, if we look at the bill on congress.gov, we can see right now that it actually only has one co-sponsor. So only 2 Democrats, including Gwen Moore herself, are on board with this bill. She's not even really getting many Democrats on board with it. I think a lot of them really favor Bernie Sanders' bill much more. That one has a lot more support for it. This one isn't really being talked about so much. So maybe she needs to push it to other Democrats and try to get some other Republicans on board to make this more bipartisan to get it to pass. But the fact that she's going to lift the payroll tax cap on Social Security payroll taxes, that might be something that's kind of a deal breaker for a lot of Republican lawmakers. But definitely interested in hearing your thoughts and comments below. Do you believe this bill is a good one, or do you believe that perhaps we should go with one of the alternative bills currently out there? But that's all the news that we have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.